Let's kickstart the event now and welcome everybody. Great to see almost full house of growth enthusiastic entrepreneurs and leaders. That's very nice to have you here. We're on a mission. We're on a mission that our job here is to actually bring a growth attitude for all of our members of Boardman Grow, but also the growth entrepreneurs in the country actually, because we all know that there's been a lot of discussions how Finland is doing in a growth-wise, and we surely need all of our help to do things differently. Growth is an attitude, like we say here. I was yesterday actually in a very nice event of this interesting book launch, and I see a few of you were there too, where the startup handbook was launched by Jyri Engeström and Timo Ahopelto, and there was a room full of startup enthusiasts, and great to see kind of the energy and the vibe there. And there was also a Volt founder, Miki Kuusi, was interviewed, and one of the things that he said, which kind of struck me quite a lot, was that the leader's job is to create momentum out of nothing. And doing that momentum means that then when you are doing the momentum, that actually brings the growth and brings everything else around you. So that's actually our job here today also, and that's part of the mission why we are here today. Bring the momentum, but also give you the attitude for the growth. And I hope that everybody agrees with that, right? At least some nods there. That's good. My name is Samppa Vilkuna. I'm a Boardman Grow board member, but also when I'm not doing these fancy events, I am also CEO and the founder of Superson International Marketing Company. We are helping growth companies in Amsterdam, Helsinki, and Singapore. And this event actually is the fourth in the series of growth multipliers that we have done now. Previously we had funding, we had a product and the market in our previous events, which all are like multipliers for the growth. And we have saved this one for last, which is one of the most important ones. This is all about the people. We are looking for how to build the winning teams in the growth companies. We have 3 amazing speakers today, and the idea is to bring the real life examples, the fuck-ups, the learnings, the losses and the wins from the real life. I hope that will inspire your everyday grind as a growth company also there. But I'm very grateful of one thing for you guys, that you all have given us something that is most precious for you. It's the time. So it's our job and it's our responsibility to deliver something that is worthwhile for you, that you feel inspired and you feel energized after this session when you are going back home or back to create your growth journey, of course. Thanks to our great partners, this event wouldn't be possible. So Technology Industries of Finland, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Springvest, and Business Finland. So give a round of applause for that. So with these 4 words, I would like to warmly welcome you to our Boardman Grow event, Growth Multipliers. But before we start, I would like to use also shamelessly, here's the agenda for today. So we will have first the keynotes, and then we have a bit of an introduction of our next sparring groups, and then we'll go into the facilitated roundtable discussions. But I will speak that later, so you will get all of that information. But I will use this opportunity to shamelessly promote Boardman Grow membership. So if you are not a member yet, so please take a QR code here and then apply for the membership. So you can be part of this community of growth enthusiastic people. It's not very expensive, but I can tell that it's worth all of the money that you put in. But also we have actually looking for one new board member into our Boardman. Sorry. Yes, we have new members coming up. That's very good. So we are also looking for a board member to our Boardman Grow board. A lot of board words here. And so you can also apply through that one through our webpage, but you need to be a member to be a member of the board. So go and find the registration. You can find from the website somewhere there. What else I want to promote? Yeah, we have one board member coming up. So without further ado, I would like to kickstart the event. We will have as a first speaker, he is actually a general partner of Antler, serial founder and entrepreneur at heart. In addition to operative duties, he has served on boards of companies at different stages and in various domains. He holds a strong academic background with both Master of Science and MBA, and today he's going to go through the role of the founder and building the first team. So please welcome Jussi Kallasvuo, General Partner at Antler. Here we go.
Thanks, Samppa.
No, thank you.
Good. Hey, great to be here. Get the opportunity to speak to such a wonderful audience. I mean, as Samppa told you, I'm venture capitalist, so I'm going to approach this theme from the eyes of an investor, through the eyes of an early stage investor, and I think most of what I'm saying is going to be applicable also to building teams in corporate settings or in any setting for that matter, but this will be the investor's take on everything. So first of all, 90-10 is a rule that I like to live by. It's 90% about the people, 10% about the idea or what the people are working on. If you have the wrong people building on a really great space, working on a really cool idea, it's not going to go anywhere. And we as venture capitalists, we take lots of risks, and this is by far the best way to mitigate the risks, is to find great people to invest in. And I think the same goes for building a team, right? We all know this. And first I'm going to break this into 3 parts, this set. So first going to talk with the founder, then building the team, the first team, and then finally something maybe tad bit surprising. But let's start with the founder and then what kind of characteristics we tend to look for in a founder. And Samppa said it himself, this kind of momentum, the ability to build the momentum, that's a great way to sum it up, using the words of Mickey, I suppose. Here's a founder. This is the way it feels on day one. So basically you have a huge boulder and you're standing by the boulder by yourself. And you need to move the boulder, right? You need to create momentum without having any momentum to begin with. Many people complain about having full calendars, but I can tell you that what's even more terrifying is an empty calendar. There's nothing, there's no Teams meetings, there's no status updates. Nobody else is filling that calendar for you. Think about it, it's empty. You come to work on Monday and there's nothing. So that's the number one characteristic a founder needs to have, the ability to build that momentum, get things moving. Here's a Finnish version of the same concept. Sua Kuokka and Jussi. I like it because I'm Jussi. So there you go. And I tried to put it in 3 points, 3 traits or characteristics that I would want to see in a founder. And first one is basically the ability to get shit done, the ability to create momentum, and I think it's probably the most important one out there. And during my career, I've invested in some really great founders who've been able to get shit done, and some really bad ones who spend most of their time on planning, analyzing. Planning and analyzing doesn't create momentum. Action, decisions, doing stuff does. And that's very fundamental on day one, because nobody else is going to do it for you. The boulder will not move itself. Second characteristic that a great founder needs is charisma. We could also call this storytelling. Basically, building a company is about putting together a great story that has to convince first other people to join you on that mission, your co-founders. If you build a really great story, you figure out something that really makes sense, that everybody needs and wants, you'll have no trouble attracting other people to join you on that mission, right? Secondly, you of course have to get the other resources, be it then the investors, us, the money that allows you to build something. And then finally, you have to convince the customers. So it's very much a sales job, being a founder. And if you kind of lack that ability, again, it's not going to go anywhere. You'll end up in the 10% not going anywhere. And finally, of course, grit. It's a really tough job. I had a friend, Yi Chen, who runs a crypto startup, and he gave a panel at our office a couple of months back, and he described his experience as being founder, and he is successful, as eating glass on a daily basis. It's not nice. It's actually horrible. It's really, really, really horrible. But that's what we basically need to be able to kind of get things done and get things moving. Founding a company there are very many kind of binary moments. You run out of money. It doesn't mean that kind of, okay, I lost one more deal. There's no worry. I'll come back to work tomorrow, work another one. If the money runs out, you're done. You have to call your friends and family and the investors, people who trusted their money and time in you, tell them that I've lost it, everything. And there have been many studies studying the personality traits of founders, and kind of ability to withstand anxiety has to be super, super high, because you have these kind of binary moments all the time. I can relate to that. I founded many companies, and each and every one of them, we've run out of money at some point, and always we then figure out some way to get going again, and actually even to then successfully exit some of them, right? So even though we hate the Finnish word yrittää, to try something, I think it's very descriptive of what this is about. You keep on trying until you succeed, right? So we need people like that. And also a certain type of hard-headedness. Maybe one example, I used to work for a company called AlphaSense, nowadays a super successful Finnish unicorn, soon to be decacorn. And this is so old, so I can already probably talk about this. But basically, we had customers in the US. I was the finance director, and we had forgotten to collect the sales tax. There's a thing called sales tax in the US, kind of like VAT here, but you collect it on a state level, and we had simply forgotten to do it. And then Jaakko, the founder, came to me that, hey, Jussi, now your job is to call all these 100 clients and tell them that they owe us sales tax, and we need to then give it to the states in question. It was about €1 million in total. And I told Jaakko that, hey, these are our best and only clients. Do we really want to upset them now by calling them, hey, you have to pay us 20, 30, 50K in retrospect? Why don't we just kind of foot the bill ourselves and kind of pay it and be done with this? And then he looked at me and said, Jussi, I don't understand what you're saying. Of course we call them. It's their money. They need to pay the state. We're just the middleman. Just get on the phone. And I was terrified. I thought that we're going to lose all the clients by kind of doing this, by calling them, surprising them with a big bill. We lost maybe 1 out of the 100. Everybody paid. And that was just like a good example of you have to be really hard and kind of tough and not think about what could go wrong, but be determined, just get it done. Good. That's about the founder. Then the team. So you can't move the boulder alone. You can't dig the trench alone. It's impossible. You need to do it with people. And as with initially, I mean, you know this 90-10 already, it continues to be all about the people, all about getting the right people on the bus. Get the wrong people on the bus, and it's not gonna go anywhere. And honestly, I think hiring is probably the biggest mistake founders and early stage companies do. They don't spend enough time on this because it's difficult. It doesn't move as fast as you'd like. It takes a lot of effort to really get the best people in. But at the same time, when you have a super small team, the impact of having the best possible person in any given role is massive versus having just somebody average, right? It's massive. And that's going to, again, determine where the company goes. So one very common mistake we see is that people tend to hire from very close circles, through their friends, through people they know. Hey, I know this one person. Let's hire that person because it's going to be easy to convince him or her to join. Whereas they should always be looking for the best possible option. And I think this is something that Miki, who was mentioned here already, has always been talking about quite a bit as well. That why would you hire somebody who's the best in Helsinki when you can hire the best on a global level? And that should be the mindset. If you really want to build category-defining, globally winning companies, that has to be the mindset. So don't hire from too close. And we see this happening all the time, and it's always super frustrating. And I understand it, because it takes time to find the best people, to convince them to join you. It's terrifying, because maybe 5 of them say no because you're not convincing enough. But then you have to tell a better story, convince them, get them to join. That's the way you build a winning team and a winning company. Secondly, you want to have truly divergent roles. Again, something we see too much in lots of the startups that we work with. In every company, be it then a big one or a small one, there are nice tasks to do and shitty tasks to do, right? And oftentimes people gravitate to the nice ones and leave the unpleasant ones to somebody else. In a startup, you can't do that, because there is no one else. So you want to hire people who really can do different things really, really well, and not just be average at everything and do everybody the same thing. Especially the leadership stuff is super dangerous. If you have multiple people who want to be CEO at the same time, or want to lead at the same time, it doesn't work. I don't believe in that. It has to be clear who's in charge, and the roles have to be very clearly defined. Lots of problems we've seen here. And then finally, well, this should be pretty simple, and no assholes. You can't hire any assholes in a startup. It's destructive in a big company. In a small team, again, it's a binary thing. The end result will be 0. One person can F it up. One person can destroy the cap table. One person can destroy the whole project everybody is building. So if you end up in a situation where that happens, need to sort it super, super, super fast. Here are some more examples I wanted to give you. First of all, the one on the top left corner, what you easily end up with is kind of the average. And in a startup, you can't do average because you have such a small team. You have to find people who are really, really good in the things they do. And they can suck at something else, but they have to be really, really good at what their role is. So you're looking for that kind of a team where you have non-overlapping roles and really solid, like top 1-2% performance in any given specific task, right? And secondly, and something that I've seen quite a bit is the one on the left top corner. It's kind of a lone wolf type of a person who can be super good operating alone by him or herself, but can't work in a team at all and can't lead. And again, super difficult. I've had one company where we had a founder who was a lone wolf. And we only realized that later, like too late in a way. And it made building the team super difficult because he had been like amazingly impressive alone. But then when he needed to hire somebody, we realized, hey, this person simply cannot lead. He can't work in that way. He always said, no, I'm just going to do it myself. And ultimately, of course, it collapses because you don't have the time to do that. The graph on the bottom, I won't go deep in that. It's science, but there's a really interesting study done by McCarthy-Braseman et al. On founder characteristics. And they'd taken a big data set and studied what kind of characteristics great founders are associated with. And I can share the link. It's interesting reading on what kind of stuff to look for. And then when you do everything right, you might still end up with this. Maybe the most dysfunctional team out there, right? So if you do, then you need to sort it out fast. Of course, we should always sort this kind of stuff fast in a big or a small company, but with a startup, again, destructive if it lasts. Need to sort it super, super, super fast. But it ain't easy. It ain't easy, as we all know. And then finally, before we go to that part, on in-housing and on outsourcing, I promised to share a few views on this. Maybe I'll skip the obvious. Bookkeeping, accounting, legal stuff needs to be outsourced. But I would always also say that branding, and I'm not now doing this for Samppa's benefit, but I've seen badly branded companies way too many times that kind of don't put any effort to that at all, and it's horrible. We had one case last year where this very senior, like super senior, very serious team had already raised multiple million, and then we were supposed to go out with the announcement of that. And the week before the announcement was scheduled to go out, they came to me that, you see, here's the kind of the our visual image and whatnot. And it looked like, seriously, it looked like it had been done by a drunk 14-year-old. It was horrible, like horrible stuff. And these were like serious senior people. And we had to postpone the whole launch by a month, just to hire an office to do it properly, get it done, everything. Because it was like, if you want to really, again, aim high, you can't slack on that stuff. And this is stuff that founders are typically a skill that they're not equipped with. So I would get help on that. Then, of course, what you need to do yourself, the product, the whole of the development, never outsource in the early phases. Sales, because that's where you learn. HR, hiring, we discussed already. And also communications. I've tried to do comms with agencies and consultants in the early phase. It doesn't work. There's no momentum. You have to do it yourself. I mean, you can get your own face by yourself, your own efforts to Helsingin Sanomat or Yle or Maikkari, whatever it is in Finland. You can't leave that to consultants in the early phases. Good, and everything else, of course. And then, hey, finally, the final point I'm going to make is we talked about the teams, and this is going to be maybe a bit surprising that why do I have customers here? What do customers have to do with this? But I think it's really essential in the early phases to be selling the right type of customers, because you otherwise might end up like this. So you end up serving a big behemoth corporate customer, kind of abiding to all their needs and wishes and wants, and it ends up shaping your product to something that suits Jabba the Hutt, but not the wider market. So you don't want to be Leia. You don't want to do that. You want to be Luke, right, with the saber and everything, and kind of sell to the people who want to work with you, who want to help you learn what is right, what is correct, and help shape the vision in a healthy way. 3 last points, 90-10. It's all about the people. Get the right people on the bus. Spend a lot of time on hiring. And finally, choose your customers wisely. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jussi. You should stay here.
Yeah.
We will have time for a couple of questions. I think we'll have a mic also here, so if somebody wants to... Oh, there's a one guy, gentleman in the first row.
What a surprise.
I thought I'd kick you off gently. Which category-leading companies, based in Europe, best in the world, do you talk about with your entrepreneurs to showcase that it's possible to scale an enduring great company here in Europe? So category-leading companies, which ones do you talk about?
Yeah. Well, of course, Volt is an easy example. I think there are many cool sides to that story. It's not in the official book that is out now, but it was originally supposed to be a mobile bank. That was the initial pitch of the team, and then it kind of pivoted into whatever it is today, right? So that's a good story of ambition, able to move. So definitely it's something that we use. Oura we've been using quite a bit. I tend to use AlphaSense because I've worked there. I know the company really well. It's because of that, a friend of mine. What I like about them, for example, is that I think it was year number 7 or 8 when they had their first client in Finland. Before that, everything else was, all the clients were in the US or the big finance hubs of the world, not Helsinki. I had lunch with Jaakko, the founder, maybe 6 years ago. I told him that, hey, I can introduce you to Ilmarinen or Varma or the big pension companies. That there, everybody wants to get them as clients in Finland. And he was like, yeah, dude, you can if you want to, but honestly, we're not that interested in the Finnish market. And I think that's a super cool sign for any company. So those were some examples.
I just push back gently on Walt. Category-leading companies don't sell. Category-leading companies don't get acquired. If you win your category globally, you win your category globally, you don't sell. That would just be my kind British living in Finland pushback. Walt didn't win their category, they were acquired.
Well, that's correct. In their field of business, it's about creating network effects on a local level. And you can only go so far. I think they played it super smart, conquering smaller cities, smaller countries in Europe, in Eastern Europe and some other locations. Could they have challenged somebody with these established network effects in some other big US location, for example? Most likely not. So yeah, you could say that, yeah, they did not win a category, but I think they did pretty well in any case.
We have time for one quick question. Anybody else? No? I have one.
There's one in the audience.
Oh, there's one. Good.
From an investor perspective, what do you do in occasions where the team has surpassed the founder?
Good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. A lot of the work when it comes to kind of doing reshuffling the team is already done at the early stages when you do the shareholders agreements and whatnot. You have to plan things in a way that you can actually then use to sort this kind of stuff out. So if you need to get a founder out, you need to have a clear process. If you haven't done this work correctly to begin with, it's going to be very, very difficult. But of course, I mean, if the team becomes, if there's somebody else who should lead, of course, that transition has to be made. Again, the competition is so tough, you can't afford to have somebody not optimal call the shots. It will not get you anywhere.
Thank you, Jussi.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, and the next speaker we will have, he's the CEO and the co-founder of Paptic Limited, a growth company pioneering sustainable fiber-based alternatives to plastics in flexible packaging. With over a decade of experience in leading this deep tech venture, this guy has driven innovation and scaling opportunities in the packaging sector. His mission is to advance sustainable alternatives through collaborative innovation. Sounds very good. So from today, we are talking about from growth to scale, leading, organizing, and pivoting for success. Mr. Tuomas Mustonen, CEO of Paptic.
Thank you. Thank you also for the organizers, partners for inviting me here. Before going to the storyline of growth to scale, basically I will today talk about theme one, what I define as a characteristics of a winning team, especially from the CEO point of view, winning management team. Secondly, focusing on scalability, kind of growth to scale. So what are the kind of key traits and focuses on that part. And thirdly, kind of already it was mentioned by Jussi, what are the fuck-ups? Meaning typically when you do pivoting, it means that you fucked up in a way that you need to actually do a major change. So bit sharing on that. Always in a change, there's an opportunity. That's my rule there. About Paptic, just to add on the description. So if you don't know in practice what that explanation means, if you go to Sokos or Stockmann here in Helsinki, the bags are made of our material. Today, from our revenue, about 99% comes outside Finland. We are Espoo autonomy based, been for 10 years. We are originally VTT spin-off, so basically I say nowadays called deep tech company. But when we were 10 years ago founded the company, and for just to irritate people, my phrase of, yep, we are a startup company that is making paper. That's what we do. We do paper, we are replacing plastics. It was something that is probably wasn't that familiar sentence, but if you look at nowadays, deep tech, packaging ventures, the world has changed a lot over the past 10 years. My background is in paper physics with an MBA degree and been always, I'd say, in sales and pretty much for that reason been loving the CEO position as well. But as said, the first theme is the extraordinary good management team. The extraordinary poikkeuksellinen comes actually from a coach that we used last winter, Nonna Babitsin. So that was her term. I love that because kind of a bit like tagging on Jussi's point, that it's just not getting average, but you need to be exceptionally good. And that kind of is a trait for the whole management team. And what that means in practice is that some of the, I'd say, positives that we benefited at Paptic is the fact that we've created a culture of collaboration inside the organization so that nobody has an ego there, because ego has the challenge that if you need to ask whether that is the ego or the company benefit which is driving a decision, then you're actually getting messed up in your decision making. Secondly, the point is that the culture is good, but still we are now a team of 45 to 50 people. So it's already a team of certain size. You need to have structures already there. And I think building on that, what are the negative sides of which you need to watch out in the management team is that, like on the founder role especially, but if there is invisible leadership that actually confuses things. Because that's also something that as a founder, kind of now with the 10 years of background, well, I know, my co-founder, we know the whole history. And people often come to ask for things. So like indirect leadership, which is something that also a bit tagging. So I think thanks Jussi for kind of paving the ground for me, because it's also the successful, good management team works when the roles, responsibilities are clear. That also in the 10 years, we've had management team of 3 persons up to 7 persons. And I still think that the smaller, the better. For the reason that then you have less interfaces in the management team, because interfaces mean that you need to split something. And the more split you need to make, more kind of chances for error there is. Because what you need in the management team is ownership. Only the fact that we own the success of the company. And we own the success, and rather than focus on the ego, repeating that, is that rather than focusing on own success, making sure that your colleagues also shine and succeed. Because I think we are all working for the same goal. That should be the purpose. Of course, it's not always the thing. But again, clarity of the roles, clear responsibilities on what people in the management team need to own. But we've also hired, not sure what's the average today, but if I recall a while back this year, it was around kind of 40 years, our average age of the people of 40 plus. We have hired experienced people. Because basically we are competing with the big paper companies. We work in a business with them. We need to set up the same process that they have. So we've kind of bought in experience just to speed up building our businesses. But that's also good to bear in mind that sometimes it can be a baggage, because not all the processes you bring in helps your agility, for example. So also you need to think that what do we need, what is the important thing that actually is beneficial for the customer and helping us service the customers, what are the processes that actually have just been built over time. So basically it's also remember to challenge things. But perhaps moving next to the scalability topic, because in practice, when you start, it's all about momentum. I agree with Jussi, but when you start to scale, you need to also have a clear direction for the momentum. And then you need to also, at the same time, manage really clearly on the operative day-to-day, which is becoming a bigger and bigger burden, stealing a bigger share of the attention, time of the whole team, while at the same time, because the world is not static, you need to make sure that are you on the right strategic path still? How do you balance that? And I think that's been one of the challenges for us. For example, one of the biggest kind of scalability events, what we are still aiming for, is that we are now working on a contract manufacturing mode. In order to fully utilize our value, our technology would be to set up a custom-made, tailored manufacturing plant for our needs. That's pretty much like a 50 million euro bunch, which means that it's a major investment. But then the point is that how do you make sure the direction is clear, because it also changes over time. But like for this now and next, when you're hiring, moving to the team side, never hire for today. Always bear in mind that tomorrow, what do you need in the team tomorrow? Because for scalability, something that in a small team, it is a challenge on how do you ensure that you have career paths for ambitious young people, that they can actually, while the company grows, of course, their roles grow in importance, but also how do you make sure that they can pursue their career paths? We actually lost this autumn our marketing assistant, who actually got a C-suite position in another startup, because basically we couldn't give him a pathway through the organization. We should have, to be honest. Great guy, but I think that's just the fact that how do you make sure that people can grow in the ladder so that they can actually feel that they are challenged and they have new ambitions all the time. And I think that also relates to the fact that in small companies, often board and management team, they have rather operative roles, and that's natural. But that's something also in the clear roles that is not just kind of horizontally inside the management team, but also how do you make sure that the people reporting to the management team members have clear roles that they own, so that they have a bigger and bigger growing roles and responsibilities, because at least in our organization, it's so been happy to see that people, when you give them a higher responsibility, they actually grow so fast into that role. So it's just something that you, only thing you regret that why didn't I do this much, much earlier. And I think this has often been the fact that when you're an operative, you kind of, again, lose sight in giving the ground, again, for the people underneath you in the organization. And perhaps the last thing on again, Jussi, you stole the feed out of my mouth. You said it, hiring close. This also for us means that when you promote people into a new position, you need to be also careful there, because like in a position when you hire a specialist for a leader position with people reporting to them, we have experienced that people have led the team really well, but in some cases also led to a point that what you cannot have in a small team, that you are getting isolated silos of teams. We had a case a while ago that actually our sales team was almost only communicating to the rest of the organization through the chief sales officer, and that's a bit fucked up in my opinion. So that's something that you need to make sure that how do you lead, how do you be a superior for the team is also within the company practices. We knew that person in that role for several years, but still, we never had her in a position of leading a team. Perhaps then moving for the last point, pivoting. I think the point is that another horror story. In 2019, because I have to grit sometimes a bit too much, because we were pushing through a fundraising process for 18 months. Then we had to look at the mirror that, are we sure that we want to close? It was like a 60 million funding then. Because of COVID, we would have been belly up, but we stopped that process. 1 month after, we were at the position that we had 3,000 euros on the bank account. We had, I believe, then 15, 20 employees. So we were really screwed, but we got through that. But I think the point is that, again, coming to the point on kind of, you need to push hard, but you need to have the direction clear that what it means to succeed. Because it could also kill you if you do it in the wrong way, if you skip steps in between, like making sure that the product market fit was still correct. But when you go to pivoting, it often in the team-wise means that you're letting people go, for example. My experience now, again, is that typically the people are not surprised, after all, when you bring up the topic. Because there's been something that's been nagging them also, like hiring slow, firing fast, but still I'd say the big problem is like how do you manage underperformance? Especially in the case that when people do what they are asked, but still things don't work well, like in the team and people around them. How do you manage those situations? Yes, you can move the person around, yes, but in the end, often it's a better thing that you let people go. I remember my worst experience that we had to let go a person who was joined us straight from university, first job, but really the job was not for her. And it was on the trial period we let her go, and it was during the COVID time, so we had to do that with masks and remotely. So that was a nasty thing to do. But I say that we did this summer a cost-saving program. We had to let about 10-15% of our people go. Just to kind of, the world is not the same as we believed 2 years ago. But the benefits of such a process is that it actually surfaces many things that have been actually nagging there underneath. They come to the surface. What it also surprised me is that if your culture is strong and if your people committed to the same cause, it also shows that when you do a process like the Finnish Cooperation Act course, so we did the whole 6-week process, we did 10 rounds of negotiations with the employees, not for the reason to argue on how many people we need to let go, but the employees really challenged the management and me as the CEO on the fact that, are you sure that this is helping us? Are you sure that this is helping us to succeed? Are you sure that this is the right direction for the company? Which to me showed really deep commitment on the fact that they were concerned on how are we as a company doing. So I'd say that that's a big sign on we've done something right in the team. But coming to the last point, perhaps, in the pivoting, I've promised to myself already years ago that if I feel that someone else could do my job better than I do, I will raise my hand. That was in September last year. If you follow the LinkedIn post, so the new CEO has been chosen. I don't know yet when he's starting. I don't know what yet's going to be my role at Paptic. I will be a board member still, probably an advisor. That doesn't matter because I know there's something that I can help the company with, which is in the strategic level of success. There will be a role for me, but again, not about the ego, not about me. It's about the company success. I'm really happy right now with this position, filled with uncertainty, because somehow this feels kind of the rock is a different shape than in Jussi's picture. But again, I feel my calendar is opening up. My mind is getting a bit more clear on what actually Paptic needs to do, and I'm happy to support the new CEO. But already running over time, but I'll probably jump off over the wrap-up, but thank you. Okay, let's do the wrap-up. You said 1 minute, but I'm so obedient. But basically, first, for the management team, you need to have a diversity of competencies. Diverse team, don't hire people like you. I think, again, Jussi, you're going to stole the feet out of my mouth there. We've hired too many too close, to be honest. Secondly, kind of make sure that for scalability, you need to also grow as a team, and you can find that growth internally. It doesn't always mean that you need to hire and hire. You need to also look internally. And third is kind of pivoting is painful, but you need to challenge because there's always the opportunity that you will then do things in a better way. Challenge the status quo. That's always what needs to be done.
Thank you. Thank you, and I'm super happy that you told us also the real-life examples. And it's not always the easy one. Any questions from the audience? If not, if you still would like for you still for a while. But I will ask one question. Skipping you, guy. No. You get your point. You will get your point. But I couldn't have time for the last one, so. I had one because you talk about this career paths in the company. I think that's very common in the. So you are not the small company anymore. You are already a kind of a good size of a company, exactly. Big team already, and so forth. And you have hired people there for certain jobs. How do you build in that size of a company those career paths inside? Have you thought about that when you're hiring, or is that something that comes along?
Honestly, when hiring, building, we didn't think about it, but it's just a nagging thought that we need to do that. It's also kind of succession planning of the management team members, because kind of who are the next ones? Or we've had also cases that people unfortunately have fell ill, and it's then several months that you need to cope with. I think this is just something that it's like building the resilience for the team. Yeah. The career path really in a small team, it's difficult because, as said, with this marketing person, basically we showed that it made him the boss of his current kind of then former boss,
Yeah.
or changing really radical structure.
Yeah.
I think that's again something that kind of coming with the pivoting. So I think you need to mix it up. First,
Yeah.
one advice that I was given a while ago is that one company was doing annually every year in the January, doing an assessment on what would our organization look like if we would start from scratch.
Yeah. I think that's a good exercise.
Because basically looking at what you should have in place, not just kind of fixing things kind of in an incremental way, but
Yeah.
how would it look like if you'd start today
Yeah.
again?
Yeah. No.
Okay, I'll be kind because I'll build it off Sampa's question. Maybe a model for you to think about when you go back into the company with your new hat on. If you like hiring experienced people, like that 40-year-old type thing, one model I've used in my businesses is we do something called a talent distillery. So we think about like an oak barrel that you would put, young spirits in, so young people in, and then we surround it with an experienced person. Yeah, not in a management function, but more in an advisory function. So the older experienced person knows enough to keep the young spirits from blowing up the distillery. Yeah, but and contains them, and a little bit of the seasoning from the old, and a little bit of the young spirits washes off against each other. And that's what I found where we've had a team problem, where the young spirits would just innovate on the solution, not knowing that that problem is impossible. And the old person wouldn't try and stand in their way. They would just make sure they didn't blow things up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that talent distillery model, maybe that's a framing that might help when you go back in.
Thank you.
Very good.
Well received. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Tuomas.
Thank you.
If you haven't yet figured out the red thread here, so we started from the small company, startups, founder-led, and then we're getting into a bit of a bigger company who has already pivoted some stuff and getting the organized, and now we're getting into bigger scaling. So next one we have she has a proven track record of delivering strong results in senior level roles with fast-paced, highly competitive international business environments, and she really has known for seamlessly moving between high-level strategy and hands-on execution, like we talked today. So she's really the executor, and now she's running a company called Saxdor Yachts, which is I don't know if you know that yet, but it's it's Europeans the most growing boat. Okay, you will tell that, but it's amazing. Now already sales exceeding over 100 million, so it's not anymore a small company. So we are lovely to welcome the CEO and the board of the culture, Erna Rusi.
Thank you. Thank you. You can hear me? Well, yes, thank you so much for having me here. Nice to be able to tell a little bit of our story. After these two gentlemen, it's an easy job for me because you pretty much covered a lot of my topics, but I'll try to bring something else to it. So if you allow me, I'll first have a short introduction of our company, because it's essential for you guys to understand what's our philosophy, because it impacts everything we do. This will be a short one. But yes, we're at the moment the world's fastest growing boat brand. So not just the Europe, but the world's fastest. And we're really redefining what boating should look like. We have unique design, functionality, and performance, and it's combined with new technology. We bring in the digitalization to boating, which is a very traditional industry. Our mission is to make boating more fun, bring it up to date, make it modern, smarter, and more enjoyable. And just a quick summary of who we are, so you get the big picture before we deep dive. Here's how we operate. We're a manufacturing company. So we have our headquarters in Finland, our daughter company in Poland. We have our own facility in Poland, the major shipyard. So this is very human-centric industry. We're not like a automobile industry where we have robots building everything. No, we're really relying on people. So going back to what Jussi was saying in his opening statements, really applies to us as well. It's a tough job to build boats. And we're looking at the moment approximately 1,000 people overall when we count all of these together who are building our boats. We're building around 700 boats a year, so we're like McDonald's. We're not building custom-made yachts. We're really like a serial production company. So this is the setup, and we have a global reach, approximately 50 dealers, 5 continents, 150 locations where you can find a Saxdor dealer. So somebody said in their earlier speech that they targeted immediately outside of Finland, and so did we. We never thought that first we'll make it here and then we'll grow step by step. We threw our nets out to the global platform immediately and started by building this network. So this is how we operate, and our turnover last year was 109 million. And let's look how it looks for going further. So this is our journey growth-wise, starting from 4 million, going to 19, 39, 75, 110. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And almost at the end of this year, and 175 is what we will do this year. And next year is talking with the board, they're crazy. So, we're talking big numbers here, but we're going to grow again. So this is who we are. So this is essential to understand when we think of the scalability and when we think of our growth. These are the magnificent boats we're building, and they are, of course, the foundation for our success. But again, referring back to Mr. Kallasvuo's first statement, it's all about people. So, who's who in the zoo? We work with this team. This is the board, the gentleman here on the left-hand side, and there's my leadership team who I work with. So, but these 3 guys are really my close partners, and of course, everything I do with my team. But we work as a unit, and I would say that in order to succeed, is essential how you work both ways. As a CEO, you work with the board, but you can't hide behind the board's back. I can't go and say, oh, the board wants and board this and board that. But at the same time, obviously, like was mentioned, the board plays a key role in an operation like this. And we have already from the beginning, when they selected me, I come from completely different industry. My background is with telecom, with brand marketing, sales. I'm not a boater. I know nothing. I knew nothing of boats. I know now. But I knew nothing, absolutely nothing of boats. So why did they come after me? One day I just got a phone call, and there was a boat company that wanted to discuss whether I would be the CEO. And I thought, like, why? Why on earth would you want me there? And then we started talking, but already with this initiative, the board guys showed a different kind of thinking, because they knew that they didn't need yet another boat person. They didn't need yet another expert on the substance. They needed somebody to lead this a great story that they had thought about. And it's been now 4 years that I've been with the company, and evidently it paid off. We're working well together. Sorry for the quality of the slide, but the message is more important. The foundation of how we work is all about company first. It's about us. it's the same mindset for the board as it is for the leadership team, as it is for the whole organization. Nobody is there for their individual gain, and please don't think that we're so humble that we don't work for money. We all work for money. But, it still has to be about common good. And this is something that we have established early. And that's why, when we say that we have to have a same direction and we have to have the big picture is clear, we're going to arrive there. We don't know who's always the first duck and who takes what role at what time, but we're going to get there. We will. And this is why, for instance, I'm a firm believer in common KPIs. Or we have 2 KPIs across the whole company, and it's only 2. It's the revenue and profitability. No ifs and buts. No differences if you work with product, if you work with production, finance, purchasing, warehouse, logistics, sales. Only 2 goals. And it's been like that for now 3 years. The first year I was naive and thought about setting these fancy KPIs across different organizations. Doesn't work, at least not with us. Why I'm a firm believer in this, I think that it really drives the unity in the team. There's no room for sub-optimizing. There's no room for stabbing your colleague and promoting yourself. So everybody truly works for the same company when there's only the top goals, because you can link everything to that. It doesn't matter if you're doing the waste management at the factory, you can still link to the profitability. You can still make sure that you don't throw away something that is still usable, because maybe the production guys threw out something that is still wrapped. If you're a waste guy, you check it. So you can really bring it down to anything. And that's why I'm a firm believer in and I encourage everybody to think that is it really for the benefit of the company to have these million KPIs split in, almost like scientific KPIs that nobody remembers. You stop people on the floor of your company and you ask what are the KPIs and nobody remembers. But I bet you if you ask in our company, every single person knows. They know the target and they know that we only have 2 goals. And that's it. Let's keep it simple. We're simple people. And that's why also we don't believe in superheroes. And it goes through, of course, Sakari is a case of his own. He's a superhero. I call him the Steve Jobs of this industry. The guy is a genius, but he's also half crazy, half difficult, but super, super fantastic in what he does. Like always, the people who are really super creative, they are not the easiest. And he shouldn't be the easiest. But, outside of him, we don't need superheroes. Because you guys, my colleagues were talking about hiring the best that there is. Absolutely firm believer in that. But I also, how I try to run the company and how I try to build the team is I look at the what and the how. And it doesn't matter how good your what is. If you're a dickhead, we're not going to work with you. We don't work with dickheads, period. They go out. I have had to let go of a guy who was the founder in our Polish factory. But he was poison to the organization. Fantastic knowledge about boats. You can imagine, here I am, a blonde girl, not girl, well, I wish I was a girl, blonde woman from Finland, coming to the macho culture of Poland and, not knowing anything about boats and challenging his way of thinking. And he's looking at me like, who are you? And then, after a few, of course we tried. And at the end, I just told him, look, we're at the end of the road here. I need to let you go. It's time. And he took it quite well. surprisingly, I thought we were going to have a mud fight, but we didn't. And no, he took it kind of well, and we parted ways. And it was the best decision for the company. But it's difficult. It's not easy, because here I'm thinking, I'm sweating bullets at night. I'm thinking like, you know nothing about boat building, and you're about to fire the guy that everybody says is the backbone of our Polish factory. And I said, you know what? That's just what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fire him. And I did. So, you know, you have to take tough decisions. They don't come easily, but you have to. And for the benefit of the company, for the benefit of team. Because I'm a believer in one team, one company. There is no room for sub-optimization. There's no room to just push for your own benefit. Okay. I just noticed that I've used a lot of animal pictures. I like animals, but I'm not an animal freak. I don't know why I chose these, but I did. This first picture here kind of reminded me of some of the situations that very easily can happen, let's say, with the board and the CEO. You know, the board is staring you, and you feel like you are there like reporting to them or answering. Of course you answer to them, but the setup can feel a bit lonely if this is the way that it's done. And also the same goes further down in an organization, that when there's a problem, if we have a problem, like right now we have a major problem with one of our vendors, and it's the technical, it's the engineering team that it's touching, and it's touching the purchasing. So, you know, but mainly the engineering team. And if we, you know, it happened yesterday, Tuesday, in our leadership team meeting, that the team started to attack against this guy who's responsible for the technical side. And as a leader, it's my opinion to change the conversation, have a hard talk right then and there, stop that, and move everybody to the position here on the right. That we look at the situation together. You know we have a problem, we have to solve it, but we're on the same team. It doesn't matter if it's my issue or my colleague's issue, it's our issue. And we have to solve it together. And that's my job as a leader, is to step in and not let it continue, not sugarcoat it. And I stop the conversation. And I'm not trying to paint myself as a superhero here, by the way. I'm not. I'm just trying to reflect. So I have to step in, because maybe it would be more comfortable for me to just keep on drinking the coffee and say, okay, next topic, and we'll have this meeting with the vendor, and, everything is nice and pretty, and if I'm Swedish, we just take a little coffee and cake, and, everything is okay. But it's not. If I allow it, then, it still remains underneath between the colleagues in our leadership team. So instead, what I told them, I said, look, guys, here's the thing. You are fighting this person is fighting you. You both telling me on our one-to-one discussions this about each other. And so we say in Finnish, laita kissa pöydälle. We put the cat on the table. Doesn't really work in English, but sorry for that. But we put the problem out there and we talk about it. And then everybody sort of said, yeah, it's true. All right. And tomorrow we're having this meeting together. I invited the whole leadership team and the vendor, and we're gonna hash it out. One way or the other, we're gonna get out of this. And we're gonna be looking like this. That's the target. so yeah. But hey, yeah. So if everybody is the same, then don't you always get the same reaction and same view and same thoughts and same solutions? And I think that there has been in Finland a conversation about selection of CEOs that are the leaders too similar. I would have to say yes. I'm sure that my kind of leadership style would not work well in all the companies, obviously not. But at the same time, neither does this always hire the most experienced male engineer, economist that has 50 years of experience and has been a specialist in the field. You know, that doesn't work either. So if you want different results, why do you keep repeating? Why do you want to do everything the same way? And then you expect, oh, but you know, we should think different. How? How are you going to think different? And then you change those guys' places. Well, now he takes this role and now it's going to change. No, it's not. You're still going to get the same view. So I just think that, you know, for the founders and everybody who's doing the hiring, which was mentioned how critical it is, we should be a lot more braver. We should hire more people from sales background, marketing background, branding background, you know, HR, who knows where, but diversity. And I don't mean the kind of diversity just for the sake of it, but to get the different thinking. Because the world around us is changing constantly. And we have to be the chameleons that change with it. And because nobody's gonna give us a medal or a pin that, oh, greatly executed 5-year plan. Well, it led to shit. We didn't grow and we didn't make money, so what's the purpose? So, you know, we have to adapt and we have to really be on the move all the time and adapt to our circumstances. In the background, you see Saxdor 200, the 6-meter boat we started the business with in 2020. In the front is Saxdor 400, 10 times more expensive, double the size, and totally different clientele. And we also said that we're never going to go beyond 40-footers. Yeah? Oh yeah, we have a 46 coming up in January and more in the pipeline. So you have to adapt as the world around you adapts. And not say, yeah, but we said that we had the plan. And No, you have to go. When you have to go, you have to go. And we're not stopping. Here's our fleet now. This is how our boats look now. And there's more room on the picture, but we have to move them to the other side because we grow in here. So we're gonna make more of great models, and we're gonna keep on growing. And then the famous 3 points with a little bit of animation: one team, one company, no dickheads, common goals, common KPIs. Everything is for the company. Everybody benefits when company does great. This works better in Finnish, but I say it in English. You have to take 100% decisions with 70% info. 10 päätöksiä 7 tiedoilla. Toisinpäin, 7 tiedoilla 10 päätöksiä. So, because if it was easy, if you always had the 100% information, anybody can take the decision. Your children can take the decision. I mean, it's not about, then you're not a leader, then you don't need to be there because then it's obvious and you shouldn't be obvious. And then, you know, you have to have your own game. You can't just play around. If we had just watched everybody else in the industry and tried to adapt and, you know, make round things rounder and expect great results, we would have never gotten where we're at. So you have to have your own game. You have to have your own plan, and you have to sometimes just jump, because you don't know, but you just have to jump, because at the end of the day. Thank you.
Talking about momentum.
Yes.
That's it. That's the spirit.
That's the spirit.
Hey, questions? In the back row, lady.
Thank you. I'm Elina Liehu from Ferrovalo. We do provide interim managers and board members. And the question is related. First of all, thank you for super good presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank
have
you.
been in events, I don't know how many thousand events, but you are rocking the thing.
Thank
I'm
you.
a fan. I'm a fan right away.
Thank you.
But my
Appreciate
question is, there was in the first talk already was that you should hire, not close. The second one said that they have made a mistake hiring close. You kind of implicated on your speech that companies are hiring close. I'm taking that, whatever those animals were, the black,
Yeah.
the furry
Yeah.
ones, compared to the chameleon. How did they find you? What was the process? How did they find you from Telia, if I understood correctly?
Yeah.
And if I've understood correctly, not from CFO position,
No.
not a country manager position,
No.
and so on. So what was the mean, and what is your thinking, how they were so brave? Because they must be brave that they're listening you on the board meetings.
Maybe they were desperate or they were brave. I don't know. They found me actually through mutual contacts, through business contacts. Somebody put a word in for me because they were looking for. They were a startup. There was no structure. There was no processes. They were just, they had dealers. They had good product. That smaller boat that you saw earlier. And somebody, they knew that they needed a leader. They needed somebody to structuralize, to set up the next steps, and to make this startup into a real company. And somebody put my name forward. I can't say why, but they did. They thought, maybe she could be. And I know who it was. It's a person who knows me quite well, who has worked with me and had connections with this company. And then that tip led to them looking into talks with me, and we hit it off, and they bet on the black horse.
Well done. Good bet. Any more questions? Jussi.
Jussi has a mic. No.
Yeah, same question, other direction. So why did you join? I mean, it's obvious now it's easy to join a 100 million revenue company, but back then, why on earth did you join?
I think that as a person, I'm too impatient to watch the paint dry. I can't. So I need always, why would I otherwise spend most of my waking hours working, if there was not a challenge or something to be solved. And it was crazy enough, a proposal. And of course, let's be honest, it was also my first jump to a CEO position. So I was intrigued, and I like challenges. So, I thought, this is crazy enough, I'll try it, why not, So no further thinking, really. It was just an intriguing opportunity.
Yeah. We have one more quick question from the first row.
So first of all, can I commend you for taking on and building a category-leading company here in Europe? That's fantastic to see.
Thank you.
Now, I want you to go a level deeper. So I lived in Poland for 2 years. I've lived in Finland for 3 years. So I have an understanding of the cultures of both countries. I'm not an expert, but an understanding. How have you managed to weld the cultures of Poland and the cultures of Finland together at a level deeper than you talked about on the slides, right? Because effectively, Poland is difficult to unlock.
Yeah.
It's much more, if you've dealt with Poland, it's harder.
Yeah.
Finland is straightforward. Sorry, guys. It is straightforward, calls a spade, puts the cat on the table, go.
Yeah.
Poland's not like that.
No.
How have you done it? Or how are you doing it?
That's a good point. I'm doing it daily, and I'm doing it all the time. And it's something that we all the time work on. It's a great question. First, what I did was I made sure that I built this leadership team, regular leadership team meetings, regular one-to-ones across the organization. So I personally took the time with the Polish leaders in different levels to have one-to-one conversations. Then I introduced this one team, one company philosophy and what it really means and how we operate with that. And I made sure that all the events possible were intervened so that also the Polish people were participating to the extent that we could, not hundreds of people at the time, but to the extent. And regular visits all the time. We take pictures in all of our internal events. So we have a wall in our shipyard full of pictures of us together. So it's everybody mingling. And then lately, it's been like maybe a year and a half, we have regular managers' calls bi-weekly with about 50 people all together. So from all over the organization, they get to meet me every bi-weekly and hear straight from me so that they feel like they belong. So all of those things, and just a small one, I know we're out of time, but give me a moment. On another occasion, when we introduced the Saxdor 400, which took the market by tsunami, by the way, we sold the crap out of that model. When we did the introduction in Cannes, I arranged a live streaming to the factory floor in Poland, and people stopped working. And it's still kind of emotional when I think about the reaction of the people. They were the ones that were really building it and doing their very best to build this fantastic, difficult boat. And then you had the whole shipyard watching the launch in Cannes live. And then I had a little speech for them. So all of those things kind of put together. That's how you build the culture. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Erna. And if you want to hear more Erna's talk, we will have a Boardman Grow podcast actually coming up very soon, where Erna is as one of the guests.
But that's in Finnish, isn't it?
That's in Finnish.
That's in Finnish.
But you can find the text. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, moving on, I can feel the momentum already. One of the Boardman Grow things what we have is part of the whole thing is also the sparring groups. So these are small groups where you can spar together with the similar minds with the topics that are then focused on certain things. And now we have new 2 sparring groups starting. First one with Mr. Ossi Ahto. He's leading the brand awareness group. And then Mr. Esa Matikainen, who's a partner at Boardman, will be guiding the sparring group of strategy process. So you can find more information and you can get involved with this through our website.